The Namibia Revenue Agency, in its quest to adhere to National Information Communication Technology guidelines aligned with the Harambee Prosperity Plan 2, will launch the SADC Electronic Certificate of Origin as per the SADC Protocol on Trade. Now, for more details on this, I'm joined by NamRA's Manager for Rules of Origin, Thandi Hambira. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you for having me, and a very good evening to you and all the viewers out there.
Now, Ms. Hambira, could you briefly talk to us about the SADC Electronic Certificate of Origin and how does it tie into customs administration?
Okay, thank you. The SADC Certificate of Origin is basically a trade facilitation tool that is under the SADC Protocol on Trade. Now, Namibia, by virtue of signing the SADC agreement, also has to adhere to the provisions under that agreement. Now, in 2016, during 2016, the Ministers of Trade under SADC then adopted the implementation of the SADC Certificate of Origin, and as such, 6 countries were basically identified to pilot the project, of which Namibia was one. In October, Malawi, Eswatini and Zambia lodged theirs, and we are basically following suit in that line, and we are busy with stakeholder training currently, equally so with our staff members who are going to operate the Certificate of Origin. Now, how it basically also ties in with the NamRA's objectives, our roles basically are that of revenue collection, facilitation of trade, and then the safeguarding of the nation. So the SADC electronic certificate basically is in line with the trade facilitation component. And then if one has to look at NamRA's objectives, one of them is to pursue innovation, and basically the certificate of origin ties into that strategic objective. Yeah. So
what prompted then the electronic version, and equally, how does it speed up processes?
What prompted the electronic version of the SADC Certificate of Origin is the fact that we are moving into a phase of technology. So in pursuing that, the benefits basically are that once we introduce that, we can regionally integrate with other countries, SADC countries, that have also applied or implemented the SADC Certificate of Origin. Apart from that also, it has a benefit in the sense that it's faster turnaround times, not only on the part of NamRA, but then also for the traders, the exporters, the manufacturers who are exporting, because the benefit of that is that they would not want, or they don't need to come to our offices per se, but from the comfort of their offices, they can electronically apply and then also apply for the Certificate of Origin. So in terms of time, cost, that is basically the driving force. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned several SADC countries. Will the certificate be solely for SADC countries?
We have started with the SADC countries, but bear in mind, we as Namibia, or as the SADC countries, we are part and parcel of the SADC Economic Partnership Agreement with the EU. Yes. Now, once it's fully fledged and all countries basically have implemented that, the view or the aim is that this can be broadened then on a SADC EU basis. And then you would also know that we have signed the African Free Trade Agreement. So most of the countries currently under SADC are also part of the AFCFTA. Now, if that happens, then we'll have a global electronic communication under the African countries, so to say. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about the benefits that are linked to the issuance of electronic certificates compared to the manual issuance.
Okay. The manual issuance was really a tedious function, because applicants would have to come in person, submit a number of documents, make a number of copies. So this is now an opportunity for us, NamRA, and the trading community to go paperless. Right. It also allows for a track record of all your documents, all the processes that you basically carry out on the platform would then be safe. So you would have all these at the click of your button. And then it also, to a large extent, would ensure that we minimize origin fraud, because we would not want to see Namibian products being deployed as, or circulating as from another country. So that also ensures that origin fraud is controlled, and we are in control of the goods that basically go out of the country. And then also really just to facilitate trade, because this would be a project or a system that would also increase Namibia's rankings in terms of making business, because that the cost and the time factor basically is key. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So now there has been quite a number of changes in customs administration, especially with digital migration. Mm-hmm. Is this part of customs modernization initiative? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a number of modernization initiatives that NamRA has basically introduced and would still introduce. Mm-hmm. And like I alluded to earlier, the aspect of pursue innovation, which is one of our key objectives. And basically that is why we are introducing the SADC electronic certificate. And I mean, if we are going through an industrial revolution as a country as well. So it really just ties in with the national objectives under the HPP, for instance. It ties in with the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement that promotes the electronification and facilitation of processes. And it also ties in with certain requirements under the World Customs Organization. So that is basically our drive, yeah.
What would you say are some of the challenges that are associated in implementing the electronic certificate?
Currently, because we are still in a process of implementing, one would really require that all the companies would have access to internet, because it's electronic.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an electronic platform. Mm-hmm. So the challenges might perhaps be if and when we experience a downtime in terms of the server, but then we do have backup plans already worked out should that happen.
Right.
Yeah, but thus far I think it is going as planned, and we intend to then launch the system on the 6th of December.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
NamRA recently had a stakeholders engagement. How responsive would you say were the stakeholders?
Oh, we had that yesterday, basically, because the aim is that we do not only train the customs officials who would use the system, but also the stakeholders. And I would say there is a nationwide plan to go from town to town to engage the stakeholders, to train them, and to share the benefits and all the issues around the e-certificate. Now, the turnout really from the stakeholders was very impressive. We took them through the actual application process. We took them through application as an exporter, a manufacturer, and then we also took them through the actual process of how to then apply for the SADC Certificate of Origin online. And I would say the impression that we got from the stakeholders present was really that they welcome this move, because for businesses, time is of the essence, cost is of the essence. Mm. And if and when they can save on that, then by all means, and they have even expressed their satisfaction of us wanting to implement this. Yeah.
Well, let me thank you so much, Ms. Hambira, for speaking to us this evening, and we wish you all the best in your deliberations.
Thank you so much.
Of course.